Anyone committed to gaming knows just how important the indie gaming scene is. After all, that's where the raw passion for gaming is at its purest. The people who spearhead indie development aren't in it just to make quick money. They love gaming, and they want you to love gaming too. So, what better way to show our appreciation than to provide you with a list of the very best indie games you just might have missed in 2023. Number 10, Party Animals. Okay, we're gonna go through many different genres here, so I might as well start things off with a hilarious experience. Party Animals is a game where you play as all manner of cute and cuddly creatures as you compete with other furry friends to see who will come out on top. It's hectic, it's chaotic, and it's so much better when you have friends to kick around. If you're looking to have a good time with your buddies, Party Animals is the 2023 indie game of choice. Give it a shot. Number 9, Darkest Dungeon 2. Are you a fan of Lovecraftian horror? What about dungeon crawlers? Masterfully written stories, polished game mechanics, challenging but fair difficulty? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, you may want to give Darkest Dungeon 2 a try. If you've played the first Darkest Dungeon, then you pretty much know what to expect. Only this time, it's a far more polished experience. Considering how incredibly well made the first game was, that's saying something. Darkest Dungeon 2 is a horrific journey into madness that'll leave you on the edge of your seat. Sure, it might take some time to get used to its overload of devilish mechanics, but once it clicks, you'll be so immersed that it'll be the next day before you know it. Number 8, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. One of the coolest things about indie gaming is you pretty much see every genre under the sun. And are we really talking about indie games if I don't mention at least one boomer shooter? Bolt Gun is part of the grim dark world Warhammer 40k, an IP where war is the only universal guarantee. You'll fight as one of the Emperor's finest space marines, with the titular bolt gun as the weapon of choice. As a boomer shooter, the priority is gameplay. So you can expect a fun, tight, polished experience from start to finish. For those who've never stepped into the world of 40k before, I'd advise that you get comfortable. It's gonna be a wild, bloody ride. Number 7, Blasphemous 2. Blasphemous 2 is a pretty exciting addition to the list because some people would consider indie gaming to be the games that end up flying under the radar due to AAA blockbusters. However, Blasphemous 2 is a special case. When it was released, content creators started streaming themselves playing the game, much like they would the much bigger releases of the year. It would have been understandable to think that Blasphemous 2 was anything but an indie game. If you haven't heard of this game, I envy you, because now you can experience a platforming masterclass in every sense of the word. Its jaw-dropping pixel visuals, alongside its punishing difficulty, make for an incredible combination. Number 6, Sea of Stars. You know why I love 2023? Because it revived my passion for the old RPGs. Back when I was a kid playing JRPGs on the SNES and PlayStation, such as Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest, and Final Fantasy, I felt like I was fully immersed and transported into far-off realms. I laughed and cried with all manner of memorable characters. Each and every story helped mold me into the person I am today. Sea of Stars is the RPG that reminded me of that nostalgic and reflective time. Just when you thought you couldn't teach an old dog new tricks, this indie RPG that goes back to the incredible epics of the past awakened something in me I thought was long gone. I can't recommend this game enough. Number 5, Astrea Six-Sided Oracles. Now, let's step out of the traditional genres and into something a little different, shall we? Astrea Six-Sided Oracles is what's considered to be a deck-building game, but that's where its similarities with other games end. Sure, it's deck building, but you collect dice instead of cards. Just the idea of building dice already adds an entirely different layer of strategy. Yet, then you add the fact that it's a roguelike alongside unique damage systems such as purification versus corruption. You have an entirely unique indie to play. This was a relatively easy game to miss, so I wouldn't blame you if you hadn't heard of this one. Give it a shot and see for yourself. Number 4, Dave the Diver. Let's keep it up with the weird games and talk about Dave the Diver. Here's a game where you have some pretty chill underwater exploration and fishing during the day, but then things quickly switch into something a little more hectic as you manage an exotic sushi restaurant at night. The best part? It's good, really good. It's the kind of game I won't stop recommending because it's a casual RPG that has a little something for everyone. It's the kind of gameplay loop that you have to experience for yourself. Number 3, Pizza Tower. Say, have you ever played the Wario Land series? It's not as well known as Mario and his 8 billion games, so it's understandable if some of you are scratching your heads. I would recommend Wario's games, but honestly, I will recommend Pizza Tower instead. Pizza Tower is a hectic 2D platformer that takes inspiration from Wario Land while managing to realize its full potential in the process. If you're a fan of retro 2D platformers, you can't miss this one. Pizza Tower is so addicting, you'll find yourself transported back to the past where the only thing that matters is you and the controller in your hands. Number 2, Chance of Sennaar. According to the Old Testament, the Babylonians wanted to build a tower so high that it would sit atop the heavens. To ensure that their plans did not come to the realization, God decided to break their language apart, separating the workers with a highly confusing language barrier. This would be the inspiration for the Chance of Sennaar. This game takes you on a journey to unite the people of the tower by trying to decipher ancient languages. Anyone who's a fan of languages, and exciting games in general, will get a kick out of this. Number 1, Dredge. How about we end things on a strange note? Dredge is an indie fishing game. It would be pretty funny if that was the only thing I said about this game and you still decided to give it a shot, because you'd be in for quite a surprise if you did. Sure, it's an indie fishing game, but it's a Lovecraftian indie fishing game. See, that world alone changes everything, because now it's an experience that will leave you feeling just a little worried, yet more excited than ever to start sailing. The funny thing is that the visuals of Dredge are actually pretty cute and cartoony, which adds to the disturbing nature of it all when things start to go awry. And that's the list. These are what I would consider to be the best indie games you most likely missed in 2023. After all, there were so many excellent games coming out that it's not easy to keep up with everything. If there's anything on this list you haven't tried, then I hope you have a ton of fun if you decide to give it a shot. If there are any other indies from 2023 that you feel should be on this list, feel free to leave comments down below.